Tropical Storm Elsa is headed for the Caribbean islands. Good evening, I'm Mike Naso with the latest tropical update here on YouTube. We do have a pretty healthy looking tropical storm tonight, much better defined than it was even 6 to 10 hours earlier throughout the day on Thursday. There you can see the entire Atlantic on this water vapor image. We're looking at Elsa right there, blowing up convection. Still not in a perfect environment, it's moving very fast, but it was moving 29 miles per hour. Now it's moving at 26. So it has slowed down slightly, and the upper level winds are not that unfavorable, and that's why we are seeing slow but steady strengthening right now. You can see there are a lot of factors ahead of it that it's going to have to deal with, mainly land masses and potential negative wind shear down the road. We'll talk about all of this, but let's get the latest on Elsa as of 11 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time from the National Hurricane Center. Tropical Storm Elsa was at 11.8 north, 55.9 west. Winds were 50 miles per hour, so it was a little stronger, and it's moving west-northwest at 26. So it has a northwesterly component to its track instead of just straight west, and it slowed down 3 miles per hour from a couple of hours ago. You can see there are watches and warnings out. We have tropical storm warnings for Barbados, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, and a tropical storm watch for Grenada and all of its dependencies, the southern and western coasts of Haiti from the southern border of the Dominican Republic to St. Nicholas, and the southern coast of the Dominican Republic from the southern border of Haiti all the way over to the east side there, as well as the island of Jamaica under a tropical storm watch. So you can see, even though it's still not even in the Caribbean, it's moving quickly enough that by Sunday morning, this thing could be bearing down on Jamaica, maybe even by Saturday night. Again, the forecast track here is uncertain. If it takes the northern edge of this track, it's probably over the Dominican Republic, which will help tear it up and keep it weak, and then over much of Cuba, and it might come out even over the Bahamas. If it takes the southern edge of this track, it heads more towards Jamaica and stays away from Hispaniola, stays over the warm Caribbean waters longer, and could even become a hurricane or even a stronger hurricane and head towards western Cuba and the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, it's still far too early. There's a lot of uncertainty, especially after Sunday, but we're thinking if you're in Florida down the road, you guys might have to deal with it, because right now it's being steered by a ridge of high pressure to its north, and there's going to be a trough coming down that's going to weaken the ridge and have it back off and allow a weakness to develop and allow Elsa to slide north. The question is, how strong is Elsa, and is it over land, which could hinder development? There's a lot of uncertainty. We'll talk about it. The earliest that you would see tropical storm winds, though, for the Florida Keys, areas here in the Florida Straits, Monday. So 4th of July is on Sunday. I think you guys will be okay, but depending on where and when and how strong Elsa is, you guys will be preparing. I want you to overlook your hurricane plans and just look at whatever course of action you might have to take. Bottled water, extra money, prescriptions being filled. Have all that stuff ready in case Elsa makes her way towards you and causes problems. Here's the infrared satellite imagery, and we have a pretty healthy-looking tropical storm for 50 miles per hour. Now, remember, the Hurricane Center said the center is somewhere in this area, so it's not embedded directly in the center of the deep convection. If the center was right up here, I would be much, much more worried about rapid development. Nevertheless, you're almost getting some banding-type features, and it's bursting here. It doesn't have any wind shear blowing directly into it. A lot of it's self-inflicted because of the fast motion, but again, if it is slowing down a little, that could help it just a little bit. And right now, I'm impressed by it. It has been bursting ever since the afternoon. You could tell at the beginning of this loop, it kind of had some convection, kind of that comma shape to it, and now it's taken on a much more bulbous blob, and that is what we're going to deal with tonight. We're going to see how it progresses in the overnight hours and in through Friday. And again, there's Barbados right there, and then this is St. Lucia, Martinique up to the north, Dominica north of that, and this is St. Vincent. So you guys in Barbados, St. Vincent, and St. Lucia look like you're going to get the brunt of whatever Elsa's going to do, and could be heavy rainfall and gusty winds, no doubt. Here's the wind shear chart, and you can see There is an upper-level anticyclone, which is a clockwise flow, which is favorable when it's over the top of counterclockwise storms. But you can see Elsa is over here. So it is a little bit undercut, and then the fast motion kind of exacerbates that. Think of it being, it's like it's in a Cuisinart or something. You got tearing up from that side, tearing up from that side. So that's why I'm impressed that it's bursting and developing the way it is. But nevertheless, still a moderate tropical storm, not closing in on hurricane strength, at least not tonight. However, it looks like if it carries a decent environment into the Caribbean, the waters are warm, its main hindrance, as I mentioned later on, would be land. If it goes over Hispaniola, those rocky terrains there, that'll just rip it apart. But if it stays over water and it develops an inner core and the winds stay favorable enough, we could see strengthening. The upper level divergence, which is basically rising air and thunderstorms, you can see right over the top of it, blowing up pretty good. That's why we have those thunderstorms blowing up the way they are. The GFS models, these are the 18Z on Elsa. You can see they are in pretty good agreement through the southern islands, and then in about 48 hours bearing down on Haiti and Jamaica. After that, they diverge, as the Hurricane Center mentioned. Some of them want to take it to the right, some even off the coast of Florida, east coast, and some want to keep it going west-northwest into the Gulf. Now, normally this time of year, you'd see this southern track, but because of that mid-latitude trough coming down and breaking away the ridge, it's very likely that Elsa would turn. And then we get into the whole thing that we dealt with, and for those of you too young to remember 2004, it feels like yesterday to me. Hurricane Charlie, oh, was it going to come this way or this way or this way? Remember Hurricane Irma? The slope of the Florida west coast, it's like you could get a landfall on Tuesday night or Thursday morning, and it depends where. Hopefully, if it does go that way, it won't be a hurricane, but it could be, and we don't know yet. It's still far in advance. You can see these are the longer range ensembles, and some are taking it to the Gulf Coast. So if you're in the Gulf Coast areas, keep an eye on it. I mean, we don't know yet. It's still so far out. But right until this area here, we got a pretty good idea through the southern windwards and then into the Caribbean towards Haiti and Jamaica. That seems to be what we're dealing with over the weekend and into the early part of next week. This is the H-Wharf model, and it is running on Elsa, and it looks scary. You can see it shows it developing into a hurricane, and then a powerful major hurricane by Sunday, 4th of July, ravaging the northeast coast of Jamaica, and then going into Cuba, and then spitting back out north of Cuba as a powerful hurricane, and that would be by next Wednesday, sitting here to the west-southwest of the Tampa Bay area. So again, that's one of our hurricane models, which performed rather well, if I recall, with Hurricane Hannah last July. So hopefully we're not going to deal with Elsa becoming a hurricane, but it is a possibility. The Hurricane Center said because of the uncertainty, they're going conservative. So if it goes stronger than we think, we could have a hurricane on our hands. We'll have to wait and see. The key messages for Elsa tonight: number one, tropical storm conditions expected to begin early Friday in the Windward and southern Leeward Islands, and also possible over southern Hispaniola Saturday and over Jamaica by Saturday night. Number two, heavy rainfall. It's going to move quickly across the islands, including Barbados tomorrow. Outer rain bands for Puerto Rico on Friday and southern Hispaniola by early Saturday. Could still cause flooding and mudslides, even if it's moving fast. Number three, there is a risk of wind and rainfall in Cuba, Turks, Caicos, and the Bahamas early next week. You guys are in the cone, so keep an eye on Elsa's progress. And finally, number four, there is a risk of storm surge, wind, and rainfall in the Florida Keys and portions of Florida early next week. However, that uncertainty remains larger than normal due to what Elsa may do interacting with the Greater Antilles. So you want to keep tuned to Elsa's progress if you live in the state of Florida. And obviously, stay tuned to these updates. I'll be back with more on the tropics. You can see our tropical storm intensifying tonight there, just off the Windward Islands, headed west-northwest towards the Caribbean. We will keep a close eye on Elsa over the coming days. I'm Mike Naso with the latest on Elsa. I'll talk to you guys next time.